Okay, hello and welcome to Whiskey and Cynicism and yet another episode of Desert Island Drams, the blog you never knew you needed, but somehow still going. It's very nice for me to welcome a friend of mine, Mr. Cam Ewen, to today's episode. He runs the fantastic Scotch Bar at the Balmoral, possibly the finest hotel in Edinburgh. And he's just going to have a chat as usual about some things about the industry, what's his Desert Island Drams. So firstly, Cam, secondly, what are you drinking today?
Hi Simon, good to see you. I've went with a classic half and half today. So sticking all things green, classically Glenfiddich 12-year-old, Shock, and also a little IPA by Magic Rock, which is nice, fruity, low ABV 7.4%er to kick off the afternoon, you know.
That's a good mid-afternoon beer, I think, and I am obviously shocked to see you drinking a Glenfiddich. I must confess I'm on a Tullamore and ice because it's quite warm. You can probably see the Edinburgh sun streaming behind me. So I think...
I'm up at Aberdeen. So the sun's not beating down quite as much.
It's funny that further north you get longer days, but not the warmth.
Totally.
So I think, Cam, I think what I'd like to ask you about firstly is you obviously work in a hotel bar, and it's a fantastic bar. It's the Scotch Bar. People don't know it's on Princess Street in Edinburgh in the Balmoral. But in this country, sometimes hotel bars, I guess it's predominantly outside of London, can struggle because some people don't like to walk through a foyer or a lobby to get to a bar sometimes and feel it's for residents only. Do you struggle to find yourself getting an identity as a whiskey bar and trying to avoid that of just being a hotel bar?
Yeah, I mean, because we are very specialist, we do attract people from off the street, so, you know, your sort of public guests, but we do still fall into that sort of curse of being a hotel bar. And I think it's a twofold thing for me. Both the hotels have got it wrong a lot of the time, in the fact that they have almost considered the bar as an afterthought, and it's just somewhere for their guests to go and have a drink. And also the public, the general public, have, especially in this country, seen that as being quite a, you know, that sort of following through and almost being quite an elitist thing, being in a hotel. So it's definitely something that I try and change as much as I can and make my bar, make Scotch as welcoming to the general public as possible.
I think Scotch definitely has that more than most and more than a lot I've been to. And I guess your team in there present whiskey and the bar in a very welcoming and approachable way, which does make a difference. But you must still find you get a whole range of customers between the whiskey nerds and the people who are really interested in trying some of the 500 malts you've got. And you must also get the very premium customers who are worried about big names and pretty much want to just drink a Rolex. Do you find you have to change tact a lot?
Yeah, 100%. Our style of service is completely flexible, you know. So we do, like you say, we get those whiskey geeks, and I think we can both say we're sort of self-professed whiskey geeks. Probably not with the biggest budgets in the world. So we do have those sort of really geeky drams that come in at a really good price and just sort of generally very interesting drams. And then as with any sort of 5-star hotel in Scotland, most of our guests are from across the Atlantic, so they're either American or Canadian. And whiskey marketing across there a lot of the time is pushing the premium, pushing the tradition, and not pushing the sort of best value for money whiskies. So you do get some guests that will come in and name drop and be like, I want to drink your finest X, Y, and Z. And I wouldn't consider anything else outside of those realms, you know.
And finest meaning that it's price tag, not necessarily quality.
Yeah, 100%. Like, we've got some whiskies that are just obscenely priced and, you know, not worth it, to be honest. Like, I'd rather take that money and put together a little flight of 4 or 5 really exciting whiskies and really give somebody a sort of holistic whiskey experience, as opposed to just one dram that they'll maybe spend 10-15 minutes drinking.
I think that's always the two-edged sword for anyone working in a whiskey bar, especially managing one of the years myself. And there's always that want to showcase, obviously, your passion, your geekery for some of the kind of crafty numbers and those we see a relationship with, and remembering that slightly boring dram.
Yeah, totally.
I guess that's the whiskey industry all over the minute. We see auction prices, we see the premiumization stuff, we see all of it. So I guess on the front line, you just hope that you give people what they want, and if you can expose those who are doing it well, so much the better.
Yeah, absolutely. And is it just me, or have whiskey auction prices gone a little bit mental whilst everyone's got the sort of opportunity to spend a bit more time on the websites, eh?
Absolutely. I think I've certainly been one of those people spending too much time on auction sites, but some of the prices I've seen go by are not just far too rich for my blood, but ones I can't even begin to comprehend.
100%, yeah. I've been sort of tracking a few bottles that I've got to sell, and they're hitting some really good prices just now. So I need to get them in a cardboard box and get them either through to Glasgow or up to Perth as soon as possible, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there's a very reputable auctioneer in Edinburgh as well, obviously. I wish I could do the same, but as you can see from what behind me, there's no bottles here that aren't open. So unfortunately, I'm just gonna
I do seem to have been finishing a lot more bottles, contrary to popular belief. I don't drink whiskey all day, every day. But having that little bit more time at home, my collection seems to be sort of diminishing at a much quicker rate than it usually would.
Yes, I think I'm buying at the rate I'm drinking it. Good things.
Yeah, it's just freeing up shelf space. You know, it's keeping it current even at home, isn't
it? Exactly. Yeah, keeping your bar levels good and making it easy to stock take.
I've not got around to doing a personal stock take yet, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm afraid to, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, a little bit too shameful, maybe.
So I guess you know, as you say, we're both whiskey geeks, but we both worked in the industry for a long time, and we do get the pleasure of a lot of experiences and a lot of kind of almost dreams come true in the whiskey industry. I'm sure the many, and I know you're the self-proclaimed Lord Provost of Speyside, and you know, I'm sure there's a lot of time spent in the Northeast. What is your favourite whiskey moment in your career where you've sat and you've gone, holy shit, this is awesome, and I'm here because of whiskey?
Yeah, I've been really blessed with a lot of sort of mind-blowing experiences, and you pitched this question to me a couple of days ago, and I've been thinking about it. I think my favourite or most memorable one would have been the first year of the Glenfiddich Festival. So it's a festival that's put on by Glenfiddich for bartenders and hospitality across Scotland. So I went up, and actually I double booked myself. There was a Glenfarclas trip happening at the same time. So I spent one day at Glenfiddich in a muddy field, drinking whiskey out of plastic cups and lots of ice and lots of soda and stuff like that. And then the next day, I remember trudging down the hill, getting changed in the Glenfiddich toilets into a suit to go and have dinner with John and George Grant of Glenfarclas. So it just shows you the two sort of sides of the whiskey industry. One in a very muddy field, drinking possibly a little bit irresponsibly. And then the next day in the distillery at Glenfarclas, having dinner and drinking family casks from the 1950s.
Yeah, that does start the juxtaposition of shots of cheap blends in the morning as opposed to 5-star hotels at 2 in the afternoon.
100%, yeah. It was just, I just remember being in that toilet, changing, and thinking to myself, what am I doing? You know, and I was naive enough to get my beard glittered at the time as well, on the first day. So I rocked up with lunch at the Downs, and that was the sort of first time I'd met John and George properly. And George goes to me, Cameron, I didn't want to say this, but you've still got glitter in your beard. I'm not sure how my dad will take that. And I was like, oh, I'm really sorry, George. I'll go and wash that out immediately. So I had to scuttle off to the toilet and sort of claw as much glitter out of my beard as possible.
That's a great story. And I guess to finish off, we must ask you, what would be the 3 drams you take to the island?
Yeah, Desert Island Drams are one of my favourite sort of concepts, actually, because we are so blessed with such variety, not only in Scotland, but in the world of whiskey. I managed to come across 2 very, very quickly, and then really, really struggled for a third one. So my first one is probably the least shocking, and that is Glenfiddich 18. It's my absolute favourite dram. I adore the distillery, and 18 is just an absolute sweet spot for me. It's probably what I drink the most of, actually, which is why I would take that. I'm a Speyside boy at heart. Love the whiskies of the northeast. To counter that, my second dram, Ben 10, Benlomach 10-year-old, lovely little whiskey from Speyside as well. A little bit smoky, so it covers that sort of that base if you want something a little bit smokier. There's a little bit more richness and sherry casks used in that. And then I've stuck with Gordon MacPhail for my third dram, and I went for their 1975 Rare and Old Convalmore. So again, a Speyside whiskey. I think out of these 3 drams, you need one that's maybe a little bit of a treat every so often. You know, you can celebrate your birthdays on this desert island for as long as you exist on it. So the 75 Convalmore, I think it was bottled at about 36, 37 years old. It's just an absolutely beautiful whiskey from a sadly closed distillery that sits right next to Glenfiddich as well. So one of my favourite closed distilleries for sure.
I think that's a hell of a range there. No surprise for it to all come from up in the northeast, but
yeah, I know.
I think you're absolutely right. There does need to be a treat in there as well as kind of a day-to-day staple. And I think for me, the best thing about doing this is the fact that I get to ask that, because I think if it was asked of me, I'd really struggle to find my 3 Desert Island Drams.
Yeah. You should maybe do that as one of your final episodes, you know, do your own 3.
That could be next week at the treatment.
It's a fun little concept to think about for sure, you know. It is that fun.
I think it really is. And as you say, it's difficult to, mind the pun, distill down all the thousands of whiskies you get to try into just 3. So I think it's interesting. Great to hear from people like you, who obviously are exposed to probably as much, if not more, whiskey than anyone I know, to hear what your 3 would be. So I much appreciate it for your time, Cam. And I won't.
No worries.
You've got a beard to grow, so I'll let you get on. But thanks for your time, mate. And Slàinte mhath, pal.
Slàinte mhath. Yeah, I'm trying to catch up with you for the beard, Simon.